Hello, welcome in. Hope everyone's doing well. My voice feels really like reedy and thin today. It's really bothering me. Let me have some water. I feel like my voice hasn't been right since I've been ill. How are you all doing? I hope you're well. I hate wearing black because I feel like I just look like a floating head on camera, but it's too late to get changed now. So I've been working really hard and I have decided to film a 2023 reading wrapped. Similar kind of vibes to a Spotify wrapped. If you're on Storygraph and you haven't checked yet, in the new year you will get a notification saying that your reading stats are all ready for you to look at. While I really love Storygraph and really enjoy like the stats they collect and the data they present, it's not very cute looking. I thought I could take some time to show you all what it is that I've made for my 2023 reading wraps. I think it's really interesting to see like my data for the year. One thing about me is I'm a data girly, so I thought, yeah, we could all have a look through it, see what it looks like, pick it apart. I know a lot of you are curious to kind of see my summation of reading throughout the year. If you want to, you can go in my reading playlist and there should be 12 reviews from all of my months of reading throughout the year in which I discuss each book in a lot more depth. So I actually made this on Canva. I probably spent too much time on it, but I'm not a graphic designer, so please do not judge me if anything's out of line. Without further ado, welcome to my 2023 reading wrapped. I'm going to float myself around down to the corner and you can see we're starting with this absolutely beautiful entry page that I've made. This was one of the only decent bookish photos I had of myself, so without further ado, let's get into it. Now this is just an overview. This is just a little collage of some of the books I read. I actually made this wasn't off Storygraph. It's funny to me because I can't seem to remember anything that's like before August, so seeing this, making this was a real good refresher of what we have. So this year, out of my 100 book reading target, I read 79 books. That is 32,513 pages. I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I thought that would be more. I don't know why I thought it would be like in the 100,000s, like I actually read anything that's over 700 pages regularly, but that just goes to show how little perception I have of how long books are. My average page length was 410 pages, which sounds about right. I always used to make this recurring joke that I don't read anything longer than 300 pages, but the numbers don't lie, do they? And on average, it took me 7 days to finish a book. I wonder what my average would have had to have been to hit. Well, it would have had to have been half that, wouldn't it? I was gonna say I wonder what my average would need to be to hit 100 books, but I suppose it would need to be half that because that's 2 books a week, more or less. On to format. So some of you know I got introduced to audiobooks this year. I gave them a go. I'm enjoying them so far. Audiobooks were 6% of my total reads and that comes out as 5 audiobooks. Now I was surprised that print was 40% of my books, 41% even. That comes out as 32 physical books read. I honestly thought it would be a lot less, but I'm really pleased to see that it's still quite a high percentage. I'm hoping I'll be able to increase that figure this year with the percentage of physical books that I actually own. It's just so many. Digital reigns supreme. This was obviously all done on my Kindle. So this was 53% and that was 42 digital books read. So on to fiction versus non-fiction. This is really interesting to me because when I first started reading again in like 2021, I basically got back into reading through non-fiction books. This year I went straight in for the fiction. So 75 out of my 79 books were non-fiction. So that is 95% of them. And then I read 4 non-fiction books. Just because I'm curious, the non-fiction books I read was The Woman in Me by Britney Spears, 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo, Unwell Women, A Journey Through Medicine and Misogyny by Eleanor Cleghorn, and A Little History of Philosophy by Nigel Warburton. I would like to read more non-fiction this year. A quick overview of my books. A little fun roundup because I thought this was quite a nice stat. So my first book read in 2023 was A Secret History by Donna Tartt and my final book read was Love in Colour by Bolu Babalola. The Secret History was actually my first read of 2023 and a 5-star read, so starting the year off strong. The shortest book I read was 104 pages and that was Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au. The longest book I read, which actually really shocked me, but I read this on Kindle so it didn't feel, I mean it went on for ages, it didn't feel that long, was Blood Gift. That was 885 pages by Vila Roth. Obviously it felt like it went ages. I think it took me like a week to read it, but I was still really surprised because why write a book that long? This book didn't need to be that long. Now, time for genres and authors. Is it any surprise that the top genre I spent the most time with this year is romance. That's around 45 books, with fantasy coming in a close second. That's sat around 40 books. Most of the books I read this year were fantasy romance, surprise, surprise. Top authors, so we've got Sarah J Maas coming in with 10 books. This was really expected to me because I started the year off by rereading ACOTAR, and I also started the Throne of Glass series this year. I don't know why I feel like disappointed that she's my top author, because I do really like her books, but I don't know. That makes sense. I think it's just because the reread in my head, it like doesn't really count, and the reread feels so long ago. Next up was Carissa Broadbent. So I did actually read 2 of Carissa Broadbent's series this year, and then I got a bit bored of one of them, so that's kind of where I switched off. I also read Elsie Silver's Chestnut Springs series. That's 5 books. Really enjoyed that series, like one of my favourite series read of the year. Let's get on to some facts and figures about books and pages. This YouTube logo is very out of centre, isn't it? So the month where I read the least books was May, and that was 4 books, and that was 1,745 pages. I also read 4 books in June. Those were low reading months for me, but I think the page count for May was slightly lower, which is why I put that one in. My most read reading month, surprisingly, was August, so 11 books read and 4,124 pages. I put the thumbnails in for those reading wrap-ups. You can find those in my books playlist. Look how tan I was in August. I'm absolutely glowing. What the hell? Next, we are up onto star ratings. 2023's average star rating across all my books was 3.87. That feels very fair to me. My highest rated month was January, which feels very optimistic, and all my books were 4.7. I did read The Secret History and reread ACOTAR, so maybe I was just starting the year out on a generous note. My lowest month was May, which came in at an average of 2.8 stars. Right, I know you're all really curious to see what some of my 5-star reads are, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm like a little bit disappointed with these reads. I'm annoyed that it's so SJM dominant, only because I feel like it's not, I don't know how to explain it. I don't really like my star rating system for this year, because there's definitely other books that now I look back on this list I think should be in there. So for example, Secret History and Our Wives Under the Sea I think are 5s based on, they're just amazingly written books. The same with Song of Achilles. I would say all the SJM 5s you can see in there, that's kind of like based on how they made me feel. I don't really think the writing's that great. That's a different 5 stars from The Secret History, you know, that's like a vibe 5 stars. I don't know, this is why I feel a bit like annoyed with the star rating system lately. I feel like I want to move away from it, but it's not that deep, I don't think, in the same breath. I feel like I should have done an honorary mention for like my 4.5 stars. But you can go on my story graph and look at all of them. And then we get to the end. So I've just got my little any other business section. Some fun facts. This year I read 50 new authors. Be interested to see how that changes in 2024. I'd imagine, because this is my first year on Storygraph, that will go down, especially as I continue series that I've read before, or series that I've started but not finished. My most time spent reading a book was 54 days. That was a little history of philosophy, because I put it down and then didn't come back to it and didn't DNF it, and then came back the following month. 51 of the 79 books read were part of a series. One thing about me is I one and done books quite a lot, especially on Kindle. So you know, on Kindle a lot of books are part of a series. If it's not over 3 stars for me, I usually don't continue the series. I'm fairly pleased with that boundary I've set for myself, but it does make me wonder. I can't envision which books it was. I DNF'd 3 books this year, which I never used to DNF books, so good for me. Let's DNF some more this year. And I haven't set myself a reading target for 2024. So folks, that was fairly short, but that's my reading wrap up. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are about my reading wrapped for 2023. I'll be really interested to see if that surprised you, especially the people that have been watching my reading wrap-ups each month for the whole year. Let me know if that felt like an accurate and true reflection. I love me a bit of data. I might do a video on my physical TBR, like what's in the pile. So if you'd like to see that, do let me know, because it will just be me running through the books with you. Maybe that's something that's better filmed for TikTok, but yeah, do let me know. If you're new and you enjoyed today's video, it would be great if you subscribed or dropped a like or a comment. I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing, or you've had a wonderful day if it's the evening and you're watching this. I will see you on my next video. I'll make sure I pop all my story graph and all my socials in the description box below, but I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much.